Hello, welcome to Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster. We have now entered the Super Nintendo era, or the Super Famicom era, as it was called in Japan. And some pretty big developments starting with this game. So the game was originally released back in 1991, Japan in July of 91. And also, yes, they changed the. Basically, this is the game where technology just started to catch up to what Uematsu wanted to do. So Uematsu could actually get way more uh, elaborate with the compositions compared to the original three games. Because of the fact that the Pixel Remaster does entirely new arrangements, it's not quite as noticeable. But yeah, going from the original three Famicom Final Fantasy games to Final Fantasy IV, it would have been a huge shift in terms of the music, just the audio in general. Yeah. So originally released July of 1991 for the Super Famicom in Japan, and then in November in North America for the Super Nintendo. This is generally ranked as one of the all-time great RPGs. It wasn't necessarily a huge I mean, it did sell well. It sold well enough. It wasn't necessarily the biggest seller. Uh, but I mean, it did sell well. It did sell well. Uh, but it was one of those games that, like, when it released, it just people loved it. The people who played it loved it, and still have fond memories of it. And it, much like the original Final Fantasy, it's had it. This game has had its fair share of remakes and re-releases and sequels. It's not actually the first game to have a sequel. It's not actually the first Final Fantasy game to have a sequel. The first Final Fantasy game to have a sequel was Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy IV's sequel came years after this game's release, but anyway. So yeah, it was originally released in 1991 on Super Famicom, Super Nintendo. Re-released on the PlayStation. 97 in Japan, 2001 in North America. Game Boy Advance in 2005. There was Final Fantasy IV, the complete collection for the PSP, the PlayStation Portable, and then obviously the Pixel Remaster. So it has had its share of re-releases over the years. And, release on, Wii Virtual Console and other places here and there. I did mention there was a sequel. I will not be playing the sequel. So Final Fantasy IV, The Afterglows, which was released on Japanese mobile phones in 2008, and then on the Wii, the Nintendo Wii Virtual Channel, the Wii Shop Channel. Man, remember the Wii? Remember how much people made fun of the Wii before it came out? And then it came out, I was like, okay, actually, this is really fun. Nintendo's very good at that. Anyway, getting off track. So yeah, the After Years. Sequel released Japanese phones in 2008, worldwide on the Wii Shop channel in 2009, and then PSP did full release that included those, along with a new game set between them, Final Fantasy IV Interlude, which has never been released outside of the PSP. Interlude has never been playable outside the PSP version. So yeah, lots of is a big legacy. The game had a significant legacy. Once again, it was produced, or once again, it was directed by Hironobu Sakaguchi. Yoshitaka Amano returned for the illustrations, character designs, and Nobuo Uematsu returned for the music. Aside from those three, pretty much the entirety of the major players from the development of the first three games were gone by the time of development started on this game. Graphics artist Kazuko Shibuya did still do some character illustrations, like the sort of like the illustrations for what the pixels would look like. Amano did the concept art. Shibuya illustrated what they would look like as pixels, but unlike in the previous three games, she did not actually do the actual pixel art herself. She was more involved with another game, as was pretty much everyone else who worked on the first three games. Instead, the main designer was Takashi Tokita, who had worked on the previous games. So this was just him stepping up into position of lead designer. And they even had to get a new programmer. Ken Narita did the programming. Tokita and Sakaguchi were the main writers. One thing that was interesting about it, so they were the main writers, but Sakaguchi regularly met with the editor of Shonen Jump magazine for script advice. Because for years, Shonen Jump had been doing manga serializations of the Dragon Quest games, and Sakaguchi asked, why haven't you done an adaptation of the Final Fantasy games? And the editor said, why are your games so bad? So, yeah, that was kind of a harsh comeback, but Sakaguchi would regularly meet with him for lunch, talk about the script, show him what he had. Editor would tear it to shreds, until eventually there was more that the editor liked than there was that he could rip to shreds. Speaking of adaptations, this game was originally going to have a comic book adaptation for the Disney Comics imprint. Again, this is it didn't actually end up happening. That said, they got Kurt Busiek to write, Del Barras to do the line art. Uh, John Costanza was the letterer. Covers by Mike frickin' Mignola. Mike Mignola! The guy who made Hellboy was going to do covers for the Final Fantasy comic. This was before Hellboy, but by 91, he was still a well-known comic artist. Yeah, he was one of those guys that was like, oh, he's somebody who's going to be a huge deal. So, yeah. Yeah, this was only a couple of years before the first Hellboy appearance. Like, that is just, as a comic book fan, that is so wild to me. That they almost had Mike frickin' Mignola doing the covers for Final Fantasy comics. Just, jeez. Music did write 4 issues. Barras drew 2 of them, and Mignola did all 4 covers. And then it got canned. Probably for the best. Music was going to be changing a lot of names and details. It was not going to be a straight adaptation of the game. He was going to be changing a whole lot of elements about it. So, ultimately, and Music has said, you know, that it's for the best. That it was for the best that happened. But yeah, still. There are going to be a lot of things to talk about with this game. Even before getting into the game itself, there's actually a few other things that are worth mentioning. So, Final Fantasy IV was not originally going to be Final Fantasy IV. They actually had a plan. They were going to develop Final Fantasy IV on the Famicom and 5 on the Super Famicom. So Final Fantasy IV was actually going to be Final Fantasy V. Then 4 got canceled. The Famicom release got canceled. There's been different tellings of how much was done. That said, Sakaguchi has said that there were that the game was about 80% complete. Certain ideas did end up being reused for 4, for this version of 4, for the game that got released. Some ideas were reused for the game that did get released. And yeah, it's a big thing with this game is that the change from the Famicom to the Super Famicom, the technology changes, definitely made a huge difference. Oh, one other thing worth mentioning. There were 3 versions released in a very short time in order to fix various glitches. There were a fair number of glitches with the original game. And so yeah, with all of that said, there is going to be plenty more for me to actually talk about as we continue. But for now, let's get into the game. Alright, turn the music up just back up to 3. I wanted to keep it low while I was going through the intro, but there's one other thing before I actually click new game. This due to cartridge storage limits, the script had to be cut down to about a quarter of what it originally was going to be. Nothing got cut plot-wise. It was just sort of unnecessary dialogue. Or at least dialogue that could afford to be cut. So let's get into the game. Good music right off the bat. Red wings. Captain, we will arrive at Aaron shortly. Should mention, another major. I actually didn't mention this. There was also a 3D remake. Final Fantasy IV 3D. Same as Final Fantasy III got the 3D remake that was released on the DS. 4 got a DS remake as well. Which is probably the best version of 4 out there. If you do want to play Final Fantasy IV, that's probably the version to go. But it is available on Steam as well. I am playing the Pixel Remaster just to keep consistency. But the 3D remake is much better. It just, in terms of the script, it's just like the script is just objectively is better. Like that's not an opinion, it's just the script is objectively better, more interesting than the Pixel Remaster version. But that's stuff that I'll get to anyway. And that was the version that's actually the only version I've ever played. This is my first time playing this version of the game. It's mostly the same. Captain, we'll arrive at Baron shortly. Very well. Captain seems kind of down. After what we did, who wouldn't be? Orders are orders. Killing innocent people to get the crystals isn't right. Well, at least that guy survived, I guess. But yeah, those people seem pretty harmless. And right off the bat, crystals. As per Final Fantasy tradition. And already we've got actually something very interesting to mention. Great animations and poses. The original 3 Final Fantasy games, the sprites were static. They didn't really move. You know, you didn't have, you know, like, you see the commander's head is down. That conveys more, that just alone actually conveys some emotion. You know, it conveys that he is unhappy. The Red Wings are supposed to protect people, not harm them. May as well mention the after years retcons 2 of these crewmen as being named Biggs and Wedge. That's enough. Captain, surely you don't condone what we've done? All of you, listen well. The raid on Mysidia was imperative for Baron's prosperity. The Mysidians know too much about the crystals. Their very possession of one is a threat to Baron. His Majesty ordered we obtain their crystal, and as soldiers of the Royal Air Force, we are sworn to obey. Captain. Captain! Monster sighted dead ahead! Prepare for battle! And another development. And, yeah, you don't get the choice here. Red Fang, though. So, that was an automated battle, but there are a few of those in this game. Not too many, but there are a couple more sort of automated battles like that. But I suppose I'll wait until an actual proper battle to go into more detail about it. Ugh. Are you alright? We've got more hostiles. Damnation. Zoo. And a blue fang. Just using items. Is everyone okay? All accounted for, sir. We've encountered more monsters than ever. There's no end to them. Could it be some kind of enemy? Captain, we are now approaching Baron. Very well. Prepare for landing. Interesting thing about this is, like, right off the bat, at the start of the game, and we're already seeing 5 airships. Be a little while before we get one of our own, but well done. So the crystal is now ours. The Mysidians put up no resistance. In fact, they were completely defenseless. Is this pity I perceive? Come, Captain. His Majesty awaits. If you'll excuse me, Captain, I must speak to His Majesty in private. Please wait here. I don't like this dude. The haircut. The haircut gives him a sort of a fashy, you know? Your Majesty, I am afraid Cecil can no longer be trusted. He clearly questions your authority. He does? Your counsel is well heeded by me. But so long as I obtain the crystals, Cecil's transgressions matter little. Send him in. Yes, Your Majesty. Captain, His Majesty summons him. The Kingdom of Baron hails your return. May I have the crystal? Yes, Your Majesty. Handed over the water crystal. It looks genuine to me, sire. It is beautiful to behold. You are dismissed, Cecil. Yeah, nice little moment right there of him sort of resigning himself. Your Majesty. I like them just sort of shaking their heads like that. That was cute. Yes? Captain, what is it? Your Majesty, forgive me, but what are your intentions regarding the crystals? My men are confused and displeased at their orders.
And what of you? Do you question my command?
No, I only ask.
Silence! Do not think your treachery has slipped past me. I trusted you, Cecil, but you leave me no choice. I hereby relieve you of command of the Red Wings.
Your Majesty.
Now, I charge you with another duty. Slay the phantom beast that plagues Mist Valley, and deliver this bomb ring to the village of Mist.
See this right here? This is one of the reasons why the Pixel Remaster translation sucks. So, for the 3D remake, they actually had a different. It was actually translated by a different dude, Tom Slattery, who made quite a number of changes to the script. It just sort of fleshing it out a bit, bringing it more in line with what's with what people expect now from a Final Fantasy game. And like bomb ring, that like, where are we going? That doesn't sound good. For the 3D remake, he renamed it the Carnelian Signet, which gets across the idea of, hey, Carnelian, that's red.
You leave tomorrow at first light.
I like the guards moving around.
Your Majesty, I beg you to reconsider. Cecil has done no wrong. King, if you are so concerned about your traitorous friend, you may accompany him.
Your Majesty.
Now, take the ring and be gone.
Receive bomb ring. Your Majesty. I'm sorry, King.
Once we've completed the mission, the king is bound to forgive us both. You'll command the Red Wings again in no time. Get some rest. Leave tomorrow's preparations to me.
And I heard rather disturbing rumors regarding the king lately. Feed and run. There we go. This I will explain once we get into a fight. Okay, we've already got floating eyeball, 20 HP, so I feel like the item that he used was maybe a little bit of overkill. Mizzou, 941 HP. Come to think of it, I think the item that I used did less than that. If you value your life, you best put king and country before anything else. Mist Valley is northwest of Barren. Thanks. If you and our Commander Kane join the forces, nothing will be able to stop you. That's the plan.
What's wrong?
I'm sorry to have dragged you into this.
Don't be. I acted of my own free will.
I mastered the Dark Sword on His Majesty's orders, but it was to protect Barren, not to plunder.
You're not to blame. I'm sure the king has his reasons.
I envy you, Cain. I envy the path you chose.
I suppose I could have attained a higher rank had I become a Dark Knight. My father was a dragoon, but he passed away when I was still young. I felt that I could keep some sort of connection with him if I became a dragoon as well. I didn't mean to bore you with my stories. Anyway, I don't need your concern. The only thing you should be concerned about is slaying that beast tomorrow. I don't want to be the only one pulling his weight.
I'll give as good as you, rest assured.
That's more like it. We should get some sleep. We rise early tomorrow.
That's gonna be a tough voice to keep up.
His Majesty is acting very strange lately.
Whatever others may say, I trust the king.
The king is most displeased. He will not see you until you have delivered the bomb ring to the village of Mist.
Ah, that's right. That's what I wanted to look at. A king received from King of Fairy. I heard you acquired the crystal from Acidia.
I'm on duty. Leave me alone.
You are free to help you on your mission. Press the switch on the wall to open the door. Going to need a gill, ether, tent. Ethers are back. Passive on magic research lab. Sleep. Sweet dreams, pal. Huh? Was it? You're not sleepy at all. Well, heck, what did I do wrong? You're diligently working to develop more spells for actual combat. Basic spells like Fire and Blizzard aren't powerful enough to defeat many monsters. But I do seem to remember hearing about more potent spells. White Magic Research Lab. Rosa became a white mage for you, wrote Cecil, to help you in any way she could. Please don't worry her too much. The king is brimming with vigor these days. I find it somewhat out of character. I'm currently studying basic white magic. The 4 levels of cure spells are Cure, Cura, Curaga, and Curaja. Thanks. Baron's sacred treasures rest behind this wall, but access to that chamber is forbidden. Which means we will be back for those. We have to pull another all-nighter today. I'm so tired. Oh, don't tell the boss that I was grousing. Have you seen Sid? He ordered us to service the airships, then just up and disappeared. I think something's troubling him. This tower is off limits. Cecil! Thank goodness you're all right. I was so worried. You left on such short notice. We're fine. I wish I could say the same for the Mysidians we slaughtered. Cecil! I'll come see you later, okay? Very well. He's so broody. Yep. Rosa? Naturally, she will be important.
We've locked up the Mysidian mages who opposed us, sir. You can talk to them through the bars.
You! You won't get away with this, you hear me?
I do not expect you to spare us, but please, return the crystal to Mysidia.
You idiots don't know anything. The crystal isn't just any old jewel.
Hints that there's more going on.
Well, 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 look who's back. Rosa was worried sick about you. Don't you ever do that to her again, you hear? So, how are my airships? I'll bet you and your goons wrecked them up something awful. Hey, what's the matter with you, kiddo?
Well,
What? The king demoted you? What about the Red Wings? They'll be a mess without you. Come to think of it, the king's been acting peculiar for some time. His Majesty ordered me to build an airship for killing people. Everyone's worried about it. Anywho, be careful out there. Make short work of that mission. Get back safe. Oh, I have to start heading home. My daughter will kill me if I'm not back soon.
his men have to pull all-nighters, but he gets to sleep whenever he wants. Captain. We'll just laugh and eat and we'll just eat and laugh and try to forget about this.
So much for the Red Wings' honor.
I still can't believe what we did. Yep. Slaughtering helpless people. And West Tower. Change your sheet, sir. I hear you depart early tomorrow morning. Good night. Thanks. Thanks, maid. Rest. Well, I think we've seen everything in the castle, so yes, let us rest. And this scene that we're about to get is really good in the pixel remake, in the 3D remake. What's happened to the king? He covets the crystals as though he's possessed. And it seems he will resort to any means to get them. Nevertheless, I can't defy him. How could I cross the man who raised Cain and me like his very own? The chivalrous knight whom I've adored and admired since childhood. I will not betray him. I can't. Cecil! What's going on? You just returned from Mysidia, and now you must journey afar to battle some phantom beast? It's all too sudden. Everything's fine. Which is why he won't look at her. Cecil, look at me. So this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is Theme of Love. It's worth listening to. School certainly felt that way, because it was used as part of music curriculum in some schools in Japan. Which is awesome. And it is a pretty song. And yeah, not much different from how it plays in the original Final Fantasy IV. Like I said, the improvements to the technology really let Uematsu really let him shine. So there's a lot less difference between the music from the original compared to the Pixel remaster, compared to the first three games where the music was vastly different. In Mysidia, we killed innocent people to steal their crystal. It was horrible. But I suppose this is my fate as a Dark Knight. Soon I won't even feel remorse for my actions. You and I both know that will never happen. Still, I can't defy the king. I'm a hopeless coward. The Cecil I know would never whimper like this. The Cecil I love. You leave for Mist early tomorrow, right? Yes, but don't worry. Kane's coming too. I'll be fine. Trust me. Please come back to me in one piece. Thank you, Rosa. Though as a Dark Knight, you know we can never truly be together. I will say, there's a lot of lore regarding Dark Knights that just doesn't really get fully developed in this game. Yeah, like, he talks about how he'll lose any sense of remorse, how they can never be together, but it's something that's like sort of mentioned here and then just dropped.
So, are you ready for some real combat?
Always.
Lead the way.
And here it is. The theme. And so, the Dark Knight Cecil was stripped of his command as captain of the Red Wings. He and the Master Dragoon Kane head for the Boggy Valley and the village of Mist. The advent of the airship marks the realization of Baron's dreams, but also the birth of its militarism. With its Royal Air Force, the Red Wings, Baron soon reigns supreme. Always a killer symbol. Now, as monsters multiply and stir unrest, Baron only exploits its power to collect the world's crystals. Why? We'll find out. Eventually. The crystals merely shed their light in silence. Also, you may notice two moons. Just wanted to point that out. Since it's rare to actually get a glimpse of the night sky in this game, yes, the world we're on has two moons. And here's the overworld theme. Pretty killer, actually. Just going to get into a quick fight. Make sure, yep, something there. Here we go. So, See those bars there? This is the game's major new so this is the big development with this one. The Active Time Battle, or ATB system. It's designed by Hiroyuki Ito. He actually developed it. It was inspired when he was watching Formula 1 and saw racers pass at different speeds. So, 11, agility 10. So, agility does influence the ATB. So yeah, you saw the way it was working. I'll get into another fight so we can show it again. Goblin and Sword Rat. So yeah, you see that as time goes on, the bars fill up. Once the bars fill up, you can click to take an action. There's sort of two... You can have the system set to wait or to active. With wait, whenever you click to on an option, attack, jump, items, whatever, whenever you are sort of going through a menu, this still counts as a menu, looking at different things, still counts as a menu. So whenever you go to menu, you can have it sort of pause the battle, so you can have time to think it over, which is how I will set it. Alternatively, for active, while you're going through menus, the enemies, hidden ATB, the enemies have their own ATB bars that are hidden, and those will continue to fill up while you're looking for your options. So, if you want it to be a tougher experience, that requires you to be able to think fast on your feet, then you can do that. I'm looking for a more casual experience, so... Yeah, and you see that they do fill up at different speeds based on the character's ability. Because different people, some people are faster than others, right? So, yeah, it just goes along with that. So there you go. One other thing to mention, Cecil and Kane start at level 10, let's start at level 10, to reflect that they are experienced. You know, these are not kids starting off in adventure. These are trained soldiers, seasoned soldiers. They've seen battle. And I will also note, they've got cool designs. With their eyes covered, which helps to show that, yeah. Anyway, helps to show that their souls are hidden. So yeah. That marks a good place to end this episode. Next week, we're actually going to explore the town of Baron. Curious, can I get back into the castle? Nope. The king forbids you from entering the castle until you have delivered the bomber to the village of Mist. I was just curious. So, next time we'll explore the castle of the town of Baron. I will maybe look. There's a couple more enemies that I might look for. See if I can find. Two enemies that I will probably spend a brief period looking for. And then we'll start looking for Mist. So that's part of this. And you already see that like right off the bat, way more character driven. This is the start. That is the other big important development of this game. It is the first Final Fantasy that had a strong focus on having a character-driven story. The first three were, the characters they weren't real characters. 2 sort of tried a little bit with Furion and Maria and Guy. Sort of tried to give them some characterization, but there was, very minimal. 4, right off the bat, Cecil is a fully developed character. He's got personal feelings, he's got a life, and he is the protagonist of the game, the first protagonist of the Final Fantasy game. And Kain, the fact that they've apparently been raised as brothers, they're good friends. A little bit of friendly ribbing here and there. Kain's mentioned about not wanting to carry do all the fighting himself, wanting to carry the fight on his own. A little bit of that sort of friendly ribbing. So yeah. And I care, and deeper story than the previous games could do. So yeah, it's they definitely, the first 3 games, Final Fantasy 3 sort of introduced the last of the sort of main lore and lore. Let's call lore aspects with summons and moogles and a few other things. With Final Fantasy IV, they wanted to go with sort of like the ultimate Final Fantasy. Taking everything they learned from the first 3 and applying it to a new game. And they largely succeed. It's not a perfect game. I mean, we'll get to the flaws as we go along the game, but yeah, the ATV was the only major gameplay introduction for this game. Some other things that are going to carry on, but ATV aside, it's all the most important elements of the franchise had been introduced in the first 3 games. And then this game is where everything was in place, and now they could actually make a good game. A good story. And we will see more of that story as we continue. So that will do for this episode. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.